Hey everyone, James Niggemeyer here. Thank you for tuning back into my YouTube channel. It's the spring of the year, and if you're getting ready to go fishing, you're probably thinking about doing a little sight fishing, a little fishing for bedding bass. It's one of my favorite things to do, and I look forward to it, whether it's a tournament or for fun. My son loves to do it. Just something about moving up there in that shallow water, visually spotting a fish, and then making presentations to it, getting it to react. There's something that's so fun with that. There's something that it just never gets old. Really enjoy that. However, in a lot of parts of the country, the watercolor or water clarity isn't such that you can do that. And so you're forced with fishing for spawning fish that you visually can't see, either because you've got really heavy cover like these reeds over here, or just the water clarity isn't such that you can see into the water and visually spot those fish on beds. Sometimes it's the runoff that you get from spring rains. Sometimes it's the rising water level. Whatever it is, there's times when you just can't visually see those spawners. So with that scenario, I'm gonna give you my top 3 soft plastic baits for fishing for spawning fish that you can't see. Typically, I'm talking about picking up my Lew's 7'6" heavy action rod, Lew's Hypermag, and 20-pound test gamma fluorocarbon, or maybe even 25, and just flipping around that cover, flipping a bait into areas where I feel like there could potentially be a bass set up to spawn. And if nothing else, he's up there a little territorial about things coming into his area. However, you don't necessarily have to flip these baits. You can cast them as well. But I want to give you my top 3 soft plastic baits for catching spawning bass in shallow cover or in the shallows, whatever lake you're in. Number 1, I'm gonna have to say Strike King Shimmy Stick. A Senko type bait, whatever it is, the one that you're throwing, these soft plastic cigar baits, whether you fish it weightless or you Texas rig it. I typically like to Texas rig it. Sometimes you're even fishing it wacky rig, but such a versatile bait. You fish it on a Carolina rig, doesn't really matter. Some guys will fish them on a shaky head in the 4-inch sizes. Such a versatile bait when they're up there in that skinny water doing their annual ritual. One of the ways that I like to fish it is on a 4/0 offset wide gap owner flipping hook, or it's not a flipping hook, it's an owner offset wide gap hook. It's a 3X strong, and I use anywhere from an 1/8 to 3/16 to 1/4 ounce Strike King tour grade tungsten weight. If the cover's heavy, I'm gonna peg it. If it's not, I'll just leave the weight free sliding. But I'm Texas rigging it, and I'm pitching it or short casting it, maybe even flipping it around potential areas. But that's my number 1, weightless, with weight, however you want to fish it, wacky rig. That's got to be my number 1 soft plastic bait for fishing for bedding bass that I can't visually see in the springtime. Number 2 is going to be my Strike King Ragebug. The Ragebug creature style baits like this, they just get bit. I like these because you peel the appendages off like this, unlocks the action as you're swimming it through the water. Those little tails are kicking on the back and on the side. So it's a compact bait, so if I'm fishing around cover, I can pitch it in there. It doesn't really get hung up. I can put it on the back of a jig. However, I typically like the same type setup, fluorocarbon line, gamma fluorocarbon line, 20-pound test, probably anywhere from a 3/16 all the way up to a 5/16 weight, and sometimes even heavier if I'm into really heavy cover. I'm just Texas rigging it and flipping it on my Lew's flipping stick. On my weight, I might actually peg it if the cover's quite heavy. If it's not, again, kind of like the Shimmy Stick, I'll let that weight free slide. But this is a bait you can cast up there in shallow water and just work it out. But the little appendages, small compact bait, looks menacing. And with bass that are territorial in the springtime, that's got to be my number 2. And it's hard to really place them because, I mean, that Ragebug creature bait could be my number 1. They're all really good. Lastly, you got to have a brush hog type bait like the Strike King Game Hog. I like the smaller one in the spring. Seems like you can really catch them on the bigger one as well. But that smaller one, I can cast it, pitch it, flip it, and just work it through areas, put it on a Carolina rig. It really doesn't matter. I typically fish it only with a weight. I feel like a weight is where it excels. You get those appendages kicking. and it's just a great alternative to, say, a lizard. And it's compact bait, gets a lot of bites, will hold a big hook. If I'm fishing around areas with really big fish and heavy cover, I want to get those fish out of there. So the Strike King Game Hog. When it comes to colors, I mean, you can simplify it to black and blue in the dirty water and overcast days and darker days, and green pumpkin on the brighter days, the clearer water, and those types of things. You can go with a candy craw, or basically a green pumpkin candy. I really like a watermelon red. In just about all these colors, you can go with basically green pumpkin, black and blue, watermelon red, watermelon candy, green pumpkin candy, or June bug. I mean, really for me, it's either going to be a black and blue or a green pumpkin or watermelon red, depending on water clarity. I just kind of mix and match, and I play with a couple different colors, but I really just generally carry 4 different colors when I'm out on the water. Keep in mind that a lighter weight, I think a lot of times when fish are locked on beds that you can't see, is going to get you a few more bites. So another thing about presentation, when I'm pitching it into those areas, I'm not working it real fast, because even if you're visually looking at a bedding fish and you're fishing for it, you notice how you'll have to make multiple presentations, and sometimes you'll throw it in there, fish will swim away. You kind of have to wait for it to come back over to the bed. Same thing when you're casting soft plastics, pitching soft plastics, flipping soft plastics for springtime bass in shallow water that may be spawning. So that's really some things that you need to keep in mind. A lot of times lighter weight's good, and being more patient, slowing down is good. But experiment, see what the fish want. Sometimes you flip it in there, it hits the bottom, they just hit it. Sometimes you flip it in there and you just got to let it soak, let it sit there, maybe a 10 count. I know it's hard, but if you have an idea that there might be a spawning fish in an area, it's better if you can handle it to let it sit there and soak. So that's it for now. Thank you for tuning into my YouTube channel. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Drop a comment. Let me know what you think about this video. It's just a quick video, just relevant stuff that's going on. Some people are curious about, you know, what's the best soft plastic to tie on this time of year, and I just wanted to put together a quick video. I've been doing a bit of this, and it's something that can be a whole lot of fun. You don't know when you're going to set the hook and it's going to be a 16-incher or a 7-pounder. Hoping you guys catch a lot of big bass this spring. Thanks for watching this video, and until next time, good fishing.